Garrett Johnson, joined by Padraig Harrington. Padraig, preparation is such an important part of your game. We've noticed over the years. I'm curious, when you get to a newer course, obviously it's redesigned here.
This is brand new to us in that sense, no doubt about it.
How do you take it on?
Yeah, well, you do try and get as much as you can done, but there's also a realization you can't do everything. So there's no point in panicking and running around the place and in the end of the day, you have to prepare to win the tournament Sunday. You can't prepare for Thursday morning. So there are, and this is interesting because it can change. Obviously, if this is a regular major, I'd like to tell you I wouldn't, but there'd be a certain panic about trying to make the cut. So in some ways, you're trying to get everything covered for Thursday morning and Friday. I'm a little bit more relaxed this week because I should make the cut no matter what. So I'm thinking, even if I've left something out there, I'll be fresher by Sunday. So it does change. Like as a kid, I would have played 54 holes practice for any big tournament. I would have hit every chip in a putt. I'm too old for that now. I'd be too tired if I did that. And I probably was too tired back in the day. It probably wasn't the right thing to do. Now I will get a feel for the golf course. So I don't need to hit every bunker shot once I've hit a certain amount of bunker shots. I know I get a feel for the pace of the fringes. That's very important because you're going to putt through the fringes. So you've got to go to any of those runoffs and check how well the ball is bouncing through it, how well the ball is putting through it. But again, once you've done that on a few greens, that covers all of them. You don't have to do it on every single one. Get a feel for the rough around the greens. Get a feel for the rough with your short irons to see if you're getting flyers. Get a feel for the rough for how much you can get out of it. Can you get a 5-wood out of it? Can you get a 5-iron out of it? So those are two different rough shots, because you'll tend to get flyers maybe down to a 7-iron and then 6-5 starting to struggle to get it out. Maybe you might get a 5-wood out of it. So you have to get a feel for that.
What about your caddy Ronin? Like, what do you expect out of him on a newer property like this?
So tee to green, off the tee, it's pretty straightforward. We have yardage books. We have a look at that. Clearly, layups have to be picked in practice. So if you're going to lay up on a par 5, you decide where you're going to lay up, how aggressive you're going to be. Usually, you're laying up when you're in trouble, so you're picking your spots. And then around the greens, you have to. There's a bit of work to be done around the greens here. These greens have a lot of slope in them, so it's not. You're trying to choose between. Sometimes you're better off going straight at the pin than going for the safe part of the green because they're kind of all little islands or peninsulas, and you're better off. Even playing safe could get you in trouble. Even hitting a good shot into the safe is as bad as hitting an aggressive shot that doesn't work out. So, but as regards my caddy, he's going to know, and he won't say very often, but if he butts in and says, hang on a second here, this pin you can't go long or you can't go right, or even though it says there's 5 yards of room to the right of this pin, he's measured that there's only 2 before it runs off. So he really is there when he steps in and says something. It's important, and the rest of the time, I'm pretty much in control of things. But he definitely has to cover all the runoffs, all the little things that, it's okay left here and know all that stuff. So for the 3 days, if you watch them, as I'm putting on the green and writing my little notes of the different breaks, he'll be walking all the way around the greens and just looking for where does the ball run off and how bad are those runoffs.
Well, speaking of preparation and what he has to do, I think about for you, once you've gotten onto the Champions Tour now, has your preparation, pre-round warm-up, has it changed at all? Has there been any little tinkering with it in terms of amount of time that you spend on things?
It got shorter before I got on the Champions Tour. So my last number of years on the tour, I've pretty much burnt out. So I couldn't get motivated to get up 3 hours before my tee time and get in the gym and do all that stuff. I'm starting to get to 40 minutes on the range and things like that. As I got on the Champions Tour and started playing better and being more in contention, I'm falling back into, hang on a second, I need a good 45 minutes of exercise in the morning before I get to the range. Then I need the hour and 5 minutes on the range. But I will say, even though you have a bit more time on the regular, it won't be this week, but on a regular Champions Tour event, you'd have more time. So I don't tend to hit more balls, or if I do hit more balls after a round, it's limited. I don't have the physical energy to get back up there and get myself up for hitting balls again in the afternoon. So if I finished a round, generally it will be, I'll concentrate on something that I didn't feel was right, but if things were in good order, I'd probably leave. If things weren't in good order, you can never do enough chipping. You can't do enough putting, or certainly enough pace putting and things like that.
Tell that to 2006 Padraig Harrington. He would agree with that.
Yeah, well, my rule back in the day, I had to do an hour's putting and an hour's chipping every day, on top of whatever practice I did. I had to, or I didn't feel right. Now I have certain drills, so I have a pace putting drill, I have an alignment drill, and I have a short putting drill. So I'll cover those, and if I didn't do those just once in the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on the tournament, I wouldn't feel prepared or ready. But I do my drills, and I try and hit a certain amount of wedges every week. So yeah, I would go back to the range to hit wedges and things like that. But if I go to the range to hit balls like drivers and things after a round of golf, it means I'm playing badly and I'm out of the tournament.
Well, speaking of drills, and I would even say habits on the range as a pro, I see pros step back and look at their shot first before they hit it, right?
Yeah.
Are there other things like that pros do that amateurs don't do that you think, what's another example you think?
Well, yeah, like my caddy has I've told him, and he has to watch that I don't rake balls, as you just said, that I have to step back and walk into every shot and make a decision. Got to have a target for every shot you're hitting. Even if you're working on your technique, you still need a target. You got to try and stick to the cadence of your tournament play. So if you're a two waggle guy on the golf course, you stick to two waggles on the range. Outside of that, the range is pretty boring. I think that's the biggest problem.
Somebody said it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. And in general, for most people, the range is counterproductive. It's a physical warm-up, it's never really good for a mental warm-up. So if you are at home and you have the luxury of being able to go on a golf course rather than range and do some practice on the golf course, always go on the golf course, never go on the range.
Well, Padraig, always appreciate the time, and good to see you this week.
Thanks, Garrett.
All the best. Cheers.